I'm not ready. I need to take care of my children.
Okay. Brothers and sisters, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be talking to you. Certainly peace be unto you, our brother Bruce, for being on. I definitely I'm very thankful for you being here. And I want to say that I respect and appreciate the discussions that we have. And we were talking about, Brother Bruce was talking about one of the shows I did where the young lady, he knows who it is, who was supposedly, her name was, the name she used at that time was Nefertiri, was supposedly the wife of Dr. Minister Khalid Muhammad, or Minister Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Her name, excuse me, and her name, we talked about that, discussed what the name may have meant, because we don't, at this point, we really don't know her name. At this point, we really don't know her name. So that's important, very important thing to discuss, because we don't know her name. And we don't, I know last name, Ambush as a governmental name could be in your face, right? Type of government snooze, so to speak, or somebody being snazzy or snotty. So they give you different names, these names as government agents. And if you look at the names, it tells you all about the people, even if they choose it themselves. Even if they choose it themselves. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss names and how even agents' name will give you clues about them. Even their names will give you clues about them, such as Malik Zulu Shabazz, Steve Washington. These names the agents have. Grandmaster J. These names. Look at Lee Harvey Oswald. You look at all of these names that the government have given to agents or officials in certain organizations that the government run. And we was talking about the assassination of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, and we were speaking of Kiana, right? Kiana Ambush, which when you look at Key and break down that name, Key means a selected individual for a certain task. This individual is key in presenting or causing this type of operation, right? So ambush, what does ambush mean? Ambush means to sabotage, right? So we find this individual with this name. We don't know what her name was. This is the last concubinic wife that the Most Honorable Dr. Khalid Muhammad has or had at the time of his assassination. Someone that was there to help complete that. We found out it was a government official. He met her through Hashim Mzinga. She comes from T.D. Jakes Church. We know that, and this is on the understand the assassination of Dr. Khalid Muhammad, which we're going to talk about. This is fastly coming up, fastly approaching, but not to take us away from our lesson today, because we have a very powerful lesson today, a very beautiful lesson today. And it's very important that we as revolutionaries, you and I, pay attention to every thing that comes across our screen, every meal that comes across our table. And you can't eat everything, right? You can't eat everything spiritually. You can't eat it physiologically. You can't eat it psychologically, right? Can't eat it mentally. You have to be careful about what goes in your body. And if you are not haven't seen the hands to prepare the meals that's to go inside of your body, you have to stop that. Now, there's some meals you can eat at random, right? We say that spiritually, mentally, physically, psychologically, right? And so on, right? Now, Dr. Khalid believed that on all these levels. He believed it. So he would have to have been trusting of certain hands to give certain things to him. Have to have been some level of trust. And it's important to say that that level of trust wasn't present, or was present but wasn't sufficient, because we believe that Dr. Khalid was being poisoned prior to his New York speech, because he leave D.C., or really Bowie, Maryland, but also the D.C. area in prior to going to New York to do the speech, No More Negro Stuff. So this is something important for us to bring out. It's very, very important. It's not something that can be left out for the simple fact that the same players that will be present in Atlanta, right? The same players that are present in D.C., all these are the same players present in Georgia, right? Present on ride from D.C. to Georgia. I should say from D.C. to Bowie, Maryland to Georgia. I should say that, because that was the trick that they took. So we have to be cognizant of all these facts. And we're talking about this algorithm and formulas for assassination. We have to be cognizant. Our eyes have to be open all the way. And I encourage you all to go back and look at a lot of the old videos. These are old videos. We had them before we had YouTube. We had these videos. And we uploaded many of them to YouTube. A lot of the questions that we had, during the time that we were with Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Steve Coakley, and other leaders, John Henry Clark, just, a massive amount of intelligence, black intelligence. I feel like I have to say that, black intelligence. And there is a difference. There is a difference. And we have to be careful about what we allow to come inside of our bodies, physically, mentally, and otherwise. We have to get the right understanding, right? Our understanding have to be righteous. We got to get the right understanding. If we don't get the right understanding, we'll never figure out what's going on. You won't do it. Your understanding has to be right, and your research has to be non-sterile. In other words, with what you find, right? With what you find, you don't have an opinion. What you find, you don't have an opinion. So this is very important. And so, brothers and sisters, when we have conversations with you, these conversations and these shows that we do are not shows that will take off immediately, but you'll see as the years go on, people will be able to catch on as the years go on. We're not looking for immediate boom. Sometimes we get immediate boom. When I'm on other shows talking, for instance, when I was on CNN and on Morris World TV, I got initial viewing. I believe initial viewing, if I make no mistake, was about 12,000, something like that. On Jesse L. Peterson, it was about 30,000 initial viewing. And those numbers will rise eventually and gradually now. Right now we have small viewing, but as you know, as the time go on, we'll begin to get larger viewing because other individuals will begin to catch on. And that's the reason why we have to keep putting these shows out, brothers and sisters, so that people that don't are not there yet, are not conscious. I think it's all right for me to say that are not conscious, that are not there yet, will eventually learn and will get conscious and we'll get there, right? But they won't do it unless you and I are in the place to deliver these things, right? This knowledge, right? And that they see the hands that is preparing this knowledge, so they'll be able to eat, right? Reap this knowledge. So that's very important for us to know. Very important. So, brothers and sisters, that's what I want to put out before you. I want you to have some understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it and what you're trying to draw. We don't want a foolish crowd. We want an intelligent crowd to talk to us about what's going on, what is happening in these different situations, so we can see what's going on. Now, yesterday, we talked about the March on Washington, talked about agents, right? Talked about the March on Washington, talked about agents, talked about individuals being used, right? We talked about A. Philip Randolph being arrested. We talked about the March on Washington, right? And so we're continuing this now so I can explain to you about this march that Farrakhan has. When we said that it was a justice or else, right? Justice or else campaign. Farrakhan, right? Because prior to that, he had what? The Million Man March. Isn't that right? The Million Man March was nothing new, right? The March on Washington, all over again. It was nothing new. It was nothing new. It came from Martin Luther King, who got it from Bear Rustin, right? And Bear Rustin's idea was also hijacked, right? The very first one was hijacked because he was going to run for senator during that time. It was hijacked by Adam Clayton Powell, right? And Adam Clayton Powell got up to announce him running for Senate, right? And he ended up there. So we see that our poor brother, A. Philip Randolph, right, just being used. He was being used. He didn't understand the politics of what he was doing and how much real pressure. He understood the labor version of it. He understood mobilizing a movement, right? But he didn't understand really the politics of what he was doing, because it was a chance. Doing something like this was a chance for him to grab a political position, to stay there, and also to cement his stand and to cement his position as a leader within the Black community. And the only reason he didn't understand it, he didn't seek it, is because he was so sincere. A. Philip Randolph was sincere. But what his idea was hijacked and intercepted. We talked about it with the 8802, right? The 8802 executive order. 8802, which Franklin Delano Roosevelt, right? When he got wind of what A. Philip Randolph was doing with the labor union, right? Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, he's gaining power and momentum, right? Building up this independence among Black people to create their own job and create their own source of income. Well, I want you to know that Black people are building with a vengeance after that, because they had lost major cities and major stock chains associated with Black businesses, such as Tulsa, Oklahoma, such as Cumberland, Alabama, such as Atlanta, Georgia, such as 9th Street in Little Rock, Arkansas, Memphis, the Gaston Exchange in Memphis, all of these areas, New York, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. They're losing. They had lost because not just was Tulsa, Oklahoma bombed, but all these areas were bombed, and then a lot of it was drowned, put water over it, and then covered it over with land, and then built on top of it. So there are millions of bones that were the result of bombings, right, from government men. Excuse me, brothers and sisters, from government men. It's been a long day. From government men who have tried to sabotage us by getting ahead of what we're doing. I'm just giving you the facts. Just giving you the facts. So this agenda, Executive Order 8802, is passed, and then who? Franklin Delano Roosevelt passed an executive order. You and I know that an executive order is over when? It's over by the time that it reaches the desk, excuse me, of the president, the new president. Right, the executive order is only powerful during that president's presidency, whichever one wrote it. Right, and when that president is gone, the executive order could be destroyed too, unless another president write two other orders to strengthen it, or another single order to strengthen it. And so this executive order 8802 is bagged up right, by what is it? No, it isn't. Harry S. Truman. Harry S. Truman bags it up. And this is a lot of stuff to keep in your head, brothers and sisters. That's why we have to constantly studying. So this Executive Order 8802, because we have to talk about all this stuff before we bring up Farrakhan, so you'll know exactly what's going on. Because I'm going to let you know that there was another executive order written. It's another executive order written in 1995. And I'm going to pull it up. And who was the president in 1995? None other than Bill Clinton. Who was the president when they in the House of Senate, House of Representatives, voted to muzzle Dr. Khalid Muhammad? Bill Clinton. Who's the president when Muhammad was shot by James Best? Bill Clinton. Who was familiar with Bill Clinton at that time was Louis Farrakhan, right? He was called upon each time by Clinton to do something about Khalid Muhammad, right? So that means that if they call him at that, when he's going overseas, he gets a presidential order to make those trips. So if they're in bed with him as he do these things, you know they're in bed with him, letting him know exactly what's going on. So the Executive Order 8802, right, written by in June of 1941 by President Roosevelt, issued basically, in a nutshell, the order issued banning. The issue was to ban discrimination in employment practices under federal agencies. So black people could apply for jobs with the federal government and get accepted and they had to pull them in, sort of, what do you call it, affirmative action type of deal. Pull them in and hire some blacks so that the other country would see, hey, America is not racist, right? But it was all politics, because the more active black people get to start fighting for rights, right, and gaining ground, then the more it's evident that America is what? Racist. So America to the world didn't want to seem racist. They didn't want to seem racist to the blacks inside of America. So they passed this order, Executive Order 8802, in June 1941, banning discrimination in employment practices by federal agencies and all unions and companies engaged in related work. The order also established fair employment practices and the Fair Employment Practice Commission to enforce this new policy. So you get a commission in 8802, and you get the executive order itself that works against discrimination of blacks in under federal employment. So this is very important. Why? Because these orders, right, are talking about discrimination. The prohibition of discrimination in the defense industry. So the Department of Defense can't have it, right? So at this point, that even when you have military service members, then they won't separate them, right? They have to be together. Eventually, this is where they're moving toward this big integration move. And this is why I'm going to talk to you about Farrakhan, because he's doing integration within the Nation of Islam, which is an executive order that had been put in place, right? Because he's receiving monies from the federal government. At that point, he's a non-profit governmental agency, right? You don't hear me, brothers and sisters. I say he's a non-profit governmental agency. Now, let's see what Harry S. Truman did. Now, remember, all of this comes about when, who is it? You got two men I want to speak of. Bill Rustin, I use them interchangeably. Bill Rustin is one, right, who made all this possible. He fought and pushed for it. Bill Rustin was around a long time, right? He was around a whole long time. Now, the other one that I want to speak about is A. Philip Randolph, who started this whole Washington campaign. Rustin was just helping him. And Bill Rustin and A. Philip Randolph is also there when Martin Luther King is doing this March on Washington. In fact, they put A. Philip Randolph in charge of it, and Bill Rustin was one of the ones that were organizing the keynote speakers and everything. He get Martin Luther King Jr. Both of them are being financed and subsidized by the federal government, which makes them ultimately agents. However you want to look at it, because they have to tell the government everything that's going on. So I just want to tell you that. Now, Harry Truman comes along and he makes executive order, I believe it's 8891 and 8892. I want to be sure about that. I want to be sure about that. But I believe it was Harry S. Truman that comes up with this with that executive order 8891 and 8892, or 9981 and 9982, which talks about desegregating the armed forces. Okay, so executive order 9981, right, was an executive order to desegregate the armed forces, right? This is passed. The draft and the passing of it happens in 1945, right? Remember that it was already in the works under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but Harry S. Truman, right, came in after the death of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he enacts in December the 31st, 1945, right? He enacts this desegregation of the armed forces, and they put 1 million black people inside of the United States military, right? Right. So you have to know that. Now, understand this. President Roosevelt starts all of this, but Roosevelt dies in office. Isn't that right? He gets polio. He came in office with polio. As a boy, he fought with polio, but he dies in office, right? So when Roosevelt dies in office, Harry S. Truman issues Executive Order 9981, 9982. One was the desegregation of the armed forces. 9982 was the commission, right, of desegregation of the armed forces, right? Because each of these executive orders had to have a commission to work on these orders. Now, A. Philip Randolph at this point continues to be in bed with the government. Now, there's not much time in between 1933 to 45. After the death of Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 45, Harry S. Truman takes the helm. He runs for president, and he gets it, right? He gets, I believe, 2 terms. All right, so when he gets it, he solidified these orders. He solidifies it. Now, it is very important for you to understand that America, being the corporation that it is, has to have things set in place to keep it going. They'll put any black man in front of you they can find as long as the man is keeping it going. Baird Rustin, a known civil rights leader, right, and known advocate for civil rights for the federal government, who worked on a campaign with A. Philip Randolph at every level, fine-tooth combing. He was a brilliant strategist, one of the most brilliant strategists we ever seen. They had other things in order, because they were helping also with a women's liberation movement, right? Women's liberation movement, they was helping with that. Behind the scenes, you had what now they call the LGBT. You had homosexuals and lesbians running these charges because they had their own agenda, right, for freedom for everybody, right? This liberation movement, not for us. Liberation movement worked against the black man, but integration was very much a part of the liberation movement, and the liberation movement, as far as when I say liberation movement, the liberation movement as far as how America saw it, right? Because we're not liberated. That's why we're in black nationalism. The black nationalist movement is not to be misconstrued or confused with the liberation movement. These are very different. They're not to be mixed. Not to be mixed in together. They're very different. And you have to know this, brothers and sisters. You got to know it. Because when they say liberation, they're not talking about you, right? When they say the women's liberation movement, right? It's used synonymously. It's not talking about you or me. It's black people. It's not even talking about the white man. It's talking about the white woman having a way. And this was the code, right? It was a concealment for the lesbian movement we see today, the LGBTQ movement. That's what it was. Now, to successfully break a population, right, of solid black front, you have to integrate it. If you integrate it, you'll change it. Now, these executive orders are milestone documents, but I want you to know that they're executive orders. So as soon as the president is out of office, they're done. This is one of the reasons why I want you to understand this, because I want to say something. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to confuse you. One of the reasons why they had to try to kill Dr. Khalid Muhammad, because it was the Clinton administration that saw a problem with what Dr. Khalid Muhammad was doing when he did the speech at King College. Farrakhan being an agent for the federal government, right? When the federal government had a problem with it, then Farrakhan had to find problems with it, had to get rid of Dr. Muhammad, right? He had to get rid of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. He had to. So James Best, being a friend and someone who was extremely obsessed with Louis Farrakhan, shoots Dr. Khalid Muhammad and even starts trouble with him prior to that, because Farrakhan thought that Khalid, like Malcolm, was getting too much attention, and he wasn't getting any attention. Farrakhan wasn't getting any attention, so he got to take Dr. Khalid out, find something to make him guilty, and then take him out. That's what an agent does. That's what an agent does. So I want you to understand that. Now, there was another executive order passed. Remember, these executive orders are about integration. Integration is not good for me, not good for you. It kills black businesses. It kills black momentum. It killed black resources, right? It kills it. And it kills black mobilization. It completely wipes it out. I told you about that cream and sugar getting in that coffee, how it can the coffee used to be hot, but now it begins to get warm. Then it gets cold. It used to keep you up, but then it begins to lull you to sleep, right? Because it's not black coffee. So you got to have black coffee, no sugar, no cream, if it's going to do the job and keep you up. But the minute you add milk to it and or cream and sugar, then the composition of it changes, right? The coffee's DNA, so to speak, changes, right? You're not dealing with caffeine. How you're dealing with cappuccino, right? Isn't that right? Yeah, you're dealing with you had black coffee. Now you got a mochaccino. So the disposition changed. So we have to talk about that. Now, and I'm trying to touch on these things very quickly. Let me go on the executive order against discrimination that was passed in 1995. Okay, and this is very important. Very important. 1995. Now, remember, the emancipation was an executive order. Remember that now. See, this is why I'm telling you, you're not free. Telling you this man is playing games with you. He's been playing games with you, and he'll continue to play games with you if you don't wake up. You got to wake up. You got to wake up. All of these executive orders are being passed every time a president is in office. Now, you had executive order 12,968. So executive order 12968, right? I want you to look that up. I want you to look it up, brothers and sisters, because I want you to know the brother is on point, so you'll know. Now they say they passed in the Civil Rights Act of 1964. In 1965, they had already passed these things that outlawed any kind of discrimination based on race, creed, and color, religion, right? Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Now, this is why I tell you, you don't know where you are. If you're not following that America is a plantation and that the presidents are CEOs of this plantation and this corporation to keep the corporation that makes money off of oppression, literally makes money off of oppression. Now, I tell you this, remember, when I say May the 28th, I want you to remember several things. That Miss Betty Shabazz was born on May the 28th, right? 1934 or 37, I think. I want you to understand that my birthday is May the 28th, 1973. I've been with Dr. Khalid Muhammad since I was 12 years of age, all the way to his death. When they got angry at Dr. Khalid Muhammad in February, and I want you to pay close attention to this, February of 1993, because of the speech he did at King College, they tried to kill him in 1994, right? James Best. I want you to understand this. His association with, and my association with Sister Betty X Shabazz, the wife of Minister Malcolm X, who was born on May the 28th, 1998. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Miss Betty Shabazz is born on May the 28th, right? I want you to understand this. She's born on May the 28th. You just keep that in mind. Really, the year doesn't matter, but just keep it in mind. May the 28th. Just keep that in mind. But for the sake of the year, she's born on May 28th, 1934, right? Understand this. The liberation movement was still strong, overpowered at its zenith in the 90s, which is the X generation, X clan. Isn't that right? Just hear what I'm saying. All the public enemy, right? KRS-One, all the revolutionaries were up and they were beholding Malcolm X's family, beholding the leader of the X generation, which is Sister Betty X Shabazz, with a strong general, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, right? And instructions from Sister Ella Little Collins from much earlier, who also dies in 1998. Brothers and sisters, the same year that this executive order is passed, ironically, same year that is passed, you had several deaths. You had Sister Betty passed in June 23rd, 1997. They had to get her out of the way before this executive order could be passed. She begins to put her eyes on Dr. Khalid, more so because she began to see the evolution happen in the Nation of Islam. So at that point, they say, hey, we got to do something to shake her attention. So here's a threat where her daughter makes a quote unquote alleged a threat against Minister Farrakhan, Sister Corbila Shabazz. So they distract or threaten the gaze of Sister Betty because she's really paying attention and applauding Dr. Khalid Muhammad. You have to understand this. This is how much they feared. Same thing they feared with Baird Russell. Same thing they feared with Minister Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., all of that. They feared with Sister Betty X Shabazz. They feared with Sister Coretta Scott King. Now, I want you to understand this. You have to understand it. That once they got rid of Sister Betty Shabazz, because they'd already tried to take out Dr. Khalid Muhammad, same way Mr. Malcolm was taken out. Right? There's nothing new. There's nothing new. The white man's doing the same thing. He just polished it up. He's doing the very same thing. And you got to be able to connect the dots, brothers and sisters. So the executive order that Bill Clinton passed, right after they got rid of Sister Betty Shabazz, understand this, because we were still fighting for liberation, still fighting for equality. Right? We were still fighting for black liberation. When you say the liberation movement, that's white people. When you say the women's liberation movement, that's for white people. When you say the black liberation movement, that's for you and I and everybody else that's black. It doesn't matter if they're fighting in civil rights. It doesn't matter if they're fighting human rights. It's talking about black people. It's talking about you and I. So it's very important that you keep this thing in mind. Now, the executive order that was passed by Clinton in May the 28th, 1998, it was the Executive Order 11478 to prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation. I know you know where I'm getting with this. You already know where I'm going with it. So this Executive Order 13087. That's Executive Order. Now there were several passed, but this is the main one. This is the main one. I'm gonna show you something. Now, the Executive Order 11478 was to limit, right, or prohibit discrimination based on sexual orientation. I want you to understand this, right? And this is for them to have jobs, right, in competitive service of federal civilian workforce. Where did you first see this? You first saw it with black people tied in with civil rights under Bill Russell. Just the new thing, right? Then you saw it under Dr. King. Then you saw Adam Clayton Powell playing with it. Then, Adam Clayton Powell playing with it after A. Philip Randolph. Then Bill Russell talking about it, right? And then Bill Russell leaking this whole idea of it to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because every time they passed an executive order, by the time that president left office, it was dead. So you have to understand that. Now, in this statement issued the same day that President Clinton signed the order in existence, because I want you to understand, you already know that Executive Order 13087 was for the LGBT movement, LGBTQ movement. So President Clinton says this on May 28, 1998. Never forget it. That the executive order states, right, administration policy, but cannot create any enforcement rights. Listen to this. Such as the ability to proceed, isn't that right? Before the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Those rights can be granted only by legislation passed by Congress, such as the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. So this another executive order that is not worth the paper that it's written on, right? But it granted rights for gays that black people didn't even get, right? So it said federal employees cannot appeal claims of discrimination under Executive Order 13087 to the EEOC. Listen, Equal Opportunity Commission, right? But they can file complaints under the grievance procedure of the agency where they work under certain conditions and may appeal their claims to the Merit Protection Board or the Office of Special Counsel. So what are we saying? Listen, it's a political play. The whole thing is just one big political play. And that's what I want you to know, brothers and sisters. But they can't put these things in place if you got certain people around. They couldn't do it with Betty Extra Bars around, because she would have had something to say about it. Coretta King had something to say about it, right? Sister Betty was even more so boisterous about it, and about black nationalism, black liberation, right? So you see, right? They tried to kill Dr. Khaled in 1994 in Riverside, California. They tried to kill him, right? James Best was the assassinator. A man that's obsessed with Louis Farrakhan, has been obsessed with Louis Farrakhan ever since he came in the Nation of Islam under Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This was the mystery trigger gun that also shot Minister Malcolm X, right? One of the mystery triggers. The same man, James Best, shot his own brother. So he's tied in. They never did a day in jail. He never did a day in jail with the knowledge of this. There's another brother that never did a day in jail that they had in New Jersey. And the sisters talk about that, right? That brother had been working with the federal government, was a known kingpin, known drug dealer, known murderer, and he never did a day in jail. And this was another one that was certainly there that had taken out Minister Malcolm X with the government on the scaffold. This is very important, brothers and sisters. Very, very important. You have to know this. So they got Sister Betty out the way, tried to get Dr. Khalid Muhammad out the way, and Farrakhan at that point wouldn't even visit Dr. Khalid Muhammad, certainly didn't visit the family of Sister Betty X. Shabazz. And the man from the time that he met Mr. Malcolm was jealous, envious, and just hated him, and was a coon from the time he came in, right? Because his life is set on protecting the investment that America is giving him as 100% coon. You got to know that. Now, with that being said, Sister Betty was out of the way, right? But let me tell you something you didn't know. Sister Ella Little Collins, the sister of Minister Malcolm X, there was another powerful voice. Here was the one that helped shape Minister Malcolm's mind. Sister Ella Little Collins, the same one that passed the charter in June the 16th, and also was announced June 16th, June 28th, that she passed the charter 1986, that she passed the charter to Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and myself to organize the African American Defense League, Organization of African American Unity. This is a fact. They can't write it out. This happened. They can't write it out of history. Now, I want you to know, and you got to look at this. I want you to have a complete look at what's going on. Who else passes, right, in 1998, though? It took out Sister Betty in 1997, but who passes in 1998? All right? And we're going to talk about her, Sister Ella Little Collins. Who is that? This is the sister of Minister Malcolm X. This is the sister of Minister Malcolm X. Sister Ella Little Collins is the one that raised Minister Malcolm. Another fiery individual that they took her out in 1996. 1996. They don't even tell the day that she died. They won't even tell the day that she died. They just give the year. Right? Here's another boisterous person about liberation. She was just that way. She organized Minister Malcolm X. This was his half-sister that helped organize him. Right? So you still had the foundation for the X generation that was already set. The leaders, the organizers for the X generation already set. But they had to get these individuals out of the way, including Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, in order to make this successful. And it was done. They put Dr. Khalid Muhammad down and got him out of the nation. That was considered a religious death, right? Because even though he was still a Muslim, even though he was in the Nation of Islam, right, his post had been taken, right? So they were able to descend him from his post, which was considered a type of a religious and political death, right? But Dr. Khalid Muhammad continues to fight, and he builds up a life in black nationalism, which is something they hadn't counted on. But it was black nationalism that we've been using before to get freedom. And whether Baird Rustin or anyone else knew or not, the black nationalism is what did it. Brothers and sisters, I want to be able to greet the brothers and sisters that have come on. And we've greeted Brother Bruce, Sister Donna, greetings to you, peace be unto you. Crack Kills, peace be unto you. And I want to say this. Let's talk about the comments. We know, right? And here's another powerful thing that's brought out. We know that Farrakhan was already working with the federal government when he came in. It'll be literally backstepping for us to say that, but we want to definitely say it because we want people to be cognizant of what they're dealing with. You have to know. Okay, so we have to see Farrakhan as somebody who stabilizes what the federal government's intentions are. The federal government's intention is to keep us in check. He is enough of a distraction to keep us in check. That's what they want. That's what they want. You can have anything you want as long as you stay in check, right? So he comes, right? We talked about all of these marches, talked about the executive orders. They've been given executive orders the entire time, right? Everybody's getting rights except the African American. Everybody is getting right. You say that we're African American, but you ain't got no rights. You're African, but you ain't got no rights as American. But the man said that you have rights. Don't forget to subscribe, like, brothers and sisters, thumbs up. Please, we definitely need you to do that, so it will help us for this show, because we'll be putting out a lot of information, and I definitely ask you to join in. Certainly join in, but certainly thumbs up, like, and subscribe, and hit that bell to let you know that every night we're going to be on at 7 o'clock. We get through this Black National Marathon, Black Liberation Theology Marathon. And then after that, we'll be meeting 3 days out of a week, starting the first week in August. And also, we should be in Detroit around that time. And we also want to say greetings to T, Sister T, greetings to you. Now, I want you to understand that these orders that were passed only to slow you and I down. It was to keep the rest of the government moving. And Farrakhan knows it. When he makes this march in 1995, called the Million Man March, not the Million Man Black March, right? Not the Black Million Man March, but just the Million Man March, right? And Clinton is sticking right with him. Clinton been with him. Clinton is the one that is rewarding him with all of this money, right? To rehabilitate felons, right? Right. Not only that, but in 1985, 86, he received another grant fund from none other than President Ronald Reagan, one of the worst racist presidents we ever had in history, and one of the most racist governors in California's history. You guessed it, Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan also wrote, right, a grant for Farrakhan to use to rehabilitate. It's in 1985 and 86 that he come forth, right? Farrakhan come forth at that time to say that during the Reagan and Bush administration, to say that one day white people will be able to join the Nation of Islam. Is that right or wrong? That's right. So you already know in yourself that it's just one big game. One big game. He signed the executive order, right, to have the King holiday for Coretta King. Isn't that right? President Reagan signed this executive order, right? No Democrat president signed it. It wasn't a Democrat president that signed it. It was a Republican president that signed it, which it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because you're running out of arms of the fox into the arms of the wolf. Right? You lead the bloody jaw of a fox into the bloody arms of a wolf. So it doesn't matter. You're still at a disadvantage. So Farrakhan, when he said justice or else campaign, right? This is the conlude, right, or the conclusion, right, of what he started initially with the Million Man March in 1995. The Million Man March in 1995, this was a carry-on for that. And you couldn't have a Khalid Abdul Muhammad inside of the Million Man March because he was too radical for it, right? He was too radical. And you had a lot of black people that wouldn't even come. What was it saying? A lot of them were saying, I don't want to come because the whites are not able to come. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Isn't that what a lot of people said? Now, understand this. Farrakhan is supposed to be a nationalist. See what I'm saying? So supposed to be, but it's the one, he's the kind of nationalist that the government put in front of us. We didn't select him, the government selected him. So you got to understand that. And that if the government selects him, then it's the government that's going to control him. The government that's subsidizing him. You got to understand that. You got to understand that. Anybody that go to a time clock and punch it in know that they dare to do work. Come on, brothers and sisters. You already know it. I'm just telling you what you already know. I'm reminding you of what you already know. Don't forget to like, thumbs up, and subscribe, brothers and sisters. Please. So this is very important for you to know. So they took out Sister Ella Little Collins, right? In 1996. They took out Sister Betty Shabazz in 1997. They tried to take out Dr. Khalid Muhammad in 1994, right? But if you look, the Clinton campaign, right, ended in really in January, because they swear him in. Then there's a month, right? This Bush Jr. got sworn in, but there's still 30 days that belong to Clinton, where he can do anything within those 30 days that he hadn't done in the last 2 terms. He can do it in those days. There are unwritten duties and there are written duties that a president has to do, right? There's some things behind the scene that the president has to do, and there's some things in front of the scene that the president has to do. I want you to understand that the Clinton administration could not leave Khalid Muhammad breathing, right, in 2001. They do it, right? And it was Clinton that was concerned with Dr. Khalid Muhammad, and he had to get rid of him, right? Clinton Million, you guessed it, Louis Farrakhan had some work that he didn't complete. So Farrakhan embraces the black nationalist movement that the government had set up. Malik Zulu Shabazz, an infiltrator and agent, Hashim Nzinga, infiltrator and agent, and Kiana Ambush, which we don't know if that was her name. It's a government name. We don't even know if that was her name, brothers and sisters. You don't hear me. It was a government name. Kiana Ambush. You look at Key, right? Key means person, right? Honor of interest or heightened. This is somebody who was evaluated, selected, right? And then we know what ambush means. So we have to understand that. We have to understand it. I want you to understand the entire game of what's going on, what's happening. You have to understand the entire game. That they have to get liberation out of the way. Even if it's unconscious liberation, like Baird Rustin, like A. Philip Randolph, like Martin Luther King Jr. This was unconscious black nationalism, right? Malcolm X, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey was conscious black nationalism. Still, unconscious black nationalism, like conscious black nationalism, is something that has to be moved. And you have to understand that, brothers and sisters. This is very important that you understand. Now, they got them out of the way. They passed these orders. Farrakhan in 1995, right, got up to do something. Didn't expect Dr. Khalid to move in 1998 to do the Million Youth March. They didn't expect that. They didn't expect that. And we're going to discuss it. Farrakhan said the Million Man March, right, where he was going to establish black men to be men. Why can a man be a man if he can't take care of his family? If you teach him to do for self, he can take care of his family, right or wrong. If you teach him to do for self. Now, Farrakhan wasn't teaching independent business or do for self. At that time, Farrakhan was teaching a lighter form, because that's what it was, a lighter form of subjugation. Again, he was literally turning us around and sending us all the way back to lose all the ground that we had made in human rights by doing what he did. Because all he had to do was pick up and tell us, hey, create your own business, organize your own economy, pool your resources, let's break away from these devils. He had the spotlight to do it, but he would have never got there in Washington, D.C., right, to speak over those amount of people. I want you to understand this. If the government hadn't put him there and they already had a script for him to follow, brothers and sisters, this is what you got to know. You got to know. You're dealing with a devil for sure, who's got demons for sure, is going to carry out their will. You have to know that. So, we know that the Million Man March had no focus. It was a bunch of complaining, had no plan, no real plan, right, for justice for black people. No real plan. We know it was a failure for black people, but it was a success for the government to keep us under oppression, again, under a different leader that the government owned, was government and American made and American stamped. You guessed it, 100% coon. This is a fact. 100% coon and a professional liar. A professional liar, brothers and sisters. That's what we have in Farrakhan. We don't have anything. So then people start to catch on to Farrakhan. Because Dr. Khalid, right? We can't talk about this without talking about Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad started to do this millions youth campaign, right? Right? And man, I mean, it was swelling up. It was powerful, brothers and sisters. Powerful. Now you have, and I want you to understand this. Farrakhan was at the National State House, right? He was at the National State House. Understand that. And he organized, right? He organized. He gets all of these people to come. Whites and blacks in many cases, right? They had some sprinkles in there. He was setting himself up. They had been planning this for years. And he didn't need nobody messing this up. So they had to get Dr. Khalid out of the way, right? They used the speech at King College. But we all know that wasn't worth the paper it was written on. Now, let me help you understand something. When they did this Million Youth March, it was one of the most powerful moves that we had ever seen. Because in 1998, listen, what year? What year was it? The same year that they passed the executive order to not discriminate on people based on race. Based on sex, sexual origin. I remember Bill Clinton passing this order in 1998 because they called it the don't ask, don't tell policy in the military. The don't ask, don't tell policy in the military. All that was connected. Now, Khalid Muhammad comes and say, hey, if they're going to have a million man march, we're going to have a million youth march. So here we go on May again, right? May the 21st, 1997. I keep telling you there's something holy about that month, brothers and sisters. Khalid Muhammad delivered a heated speech at San Francisco State University where he criticized Jews, whites, Catholics, and homosexuals. Listen. Clinton had passed the law, right? And was going to pass the law. The law was in works, right? When did Clinton pass his law? Right? 13087. He passed that May 1998. Come on, brothers and sisters, get with me. Khalid Muhammad, right? He does this Million Youth March. When does he do it? Right? He do it in 1998 in New York, where they said 6,000 participants were there. But brothers and sisters, I can tell you that this is not true. It was well over 200,000 that were there. Well over 200,000. They outnumbered the police and police gear. I remember it. But you know, it's like the man, he gonna dwindle it down. Dr. Khalid Muhammad was speaking, right? And giving truth to power, brothers and sisters. They told Farrakhan, we got to do something about this. Right? If you heard that song in 1998 called, what was it, brothers and sisters? It was Night of the Living Basshead, right? It takes a nation of 1 million to hold us back. Isn't that right? It was from that album, if you remember. Right? In 1998, right? It was Afrocentric, right? And the speaker of African history, right? Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Come on, brothers and sisters, talk to me. Public Enemy quoted him, right, on the 1998 track. Even though Professor Griff, another government agent, worked against Dr. Khaled, we'll talk about that at a different time. But I just want to let you know how closely these things are tied. These things are tied together so closely until we don't see it. We miss it. We miss it, but they're tied together that closely. So Farrakhan, after that, runs a Justice or Else campaign because he got to topple to draw back in a lot of the Muslims that had left the nation after this thing he did against Dr. Khalid Muhammad. So, brothers and sisters, he came with the Justice or Else campaign while he's building up 10,000 fearless men. All of this talk, nothing but talk. Now, he'll kill black people. He'll get black Muslims to kill black people. He'll get black Muslims to kill other black Muslims. He'll speak against black Muslims. He'll speak against the gangs. He spoke against the Black Panther Party, right? He spoke against the real revolutionaries in the new Black Panther Party. But he won't say nothing against that white man. Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you. Won't say nothing against that white man. Right? And here we are, since Farrakhan been talking and running, even ridiculing Minister Malcolm and others. Right? Isn't it right? That he's went against the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching more than any other minister, and have even put in heresy. Him and Wallace Waradeen Muhammad, two of the best agents that the federal government has ever used, literally worked against the plan and blueprint of independence that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. Literally went against it. Have done more to destroy the teachings of the message to the black man and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad than any other minister that has ever come through. You have to know it. You got to know that. Don't forget to thumbs up, like, and subscribe, brothers and sisters. We certainly need it. And so you have to understand that Bill Clinton, right, was another. And see, a lot of people, here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of people worship Bill Clinton. You know, they said, here's foolish black people for you. Can I talk a little common sense today? Foolish black people said that Clinton is the first black president. Amazing. Amazing. Barack Obama was black, right? Black in texture, right, or color. But I tell you today, we haven't had a black president yet. I'm waiting for a black president because Obama wasn't a black president. He wasn't. Right? And they wouldn't give him no power to be a black president. Right? When he came in there, his whole thing was to run the plantation. Brothers and sisters, don't you know that you and I own a plantation? And that you can't believe the illusions that we're seeing on this plantation? Don't you know it? You and I are not free, brothers and sisters. We got to fight for freedom. We're not free. We ain't got justice and we ain't got nothing else. Farrakhan is just another agent of the white man to keep you and I down. Don't forget to thumbs up, like, and subscribe, brothers and sisters. Just another agent to keep you and I off the course of true liberation. Right? What the old folks say, I know there's one thing I did right on the day that I began to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize, oh Lord. We got to keep our eyes on the prize. Our prize is liberation, our prize is separation, and our prize is reparation. And we need a land of our own, right? We need a currency of our own, right? And a nation of our own, brothers and sisters. That's what we need. That's what we need. And we got sellout Africans that owe us money too. They owe us money too. But we ain't got justice and we ain't got nothing else unless we fight to get it. And we ain't going to get it unless you fight. You got to fight to get it. If you don't fight, you're not going to get it. That's true. Whatever level of that fight, whatever level that fight is, opening up a store is a fight, brothers and sisters. A black store in a black community, that's a fight. Making a black gas station is a fight. black place where they can change your tires, right? Tire Express. That's you fighting. Open up a candy store in your front living room, right? So other kids don't have to go and buy the white man's candy. They can buy candy from you. They can buy chips from you and whatever else. If you eat that, that's fighting back. Go to somebody else's house where they open up a produce store, or they've opened up a place where you can buy a fresh fish. Isn't that right? And fresh turkey, right? We don't want anybody in the black community selling pork, because we don't think the pork does anything good for our people. But to sell the other products, somebody may sell jeans. Somebody may sell tennis shoes, right? That's us. That's us getting justice. That's fighting. That's something that we can get for ourselves. And if we're going to get freedom, justice, and equality, we're going to get it for ourselves. You can't ask the white man to give you justice. He can't give you justice. The white man can't give you justice because he himself ain't got justice, right? He ain't got justice. Only God has justice, and God has given you and I, as men and women, the power and the ability to get justice, right? And when we get to the place where we're willing to fight to get justice, then we'll get justice. Other than that, we won't get it, right? If you're not really willing to fight, then you need to leave freedom, justice, liberation, and equality out of your vocabulary. Because if you're trying to fight, then you can use it. But if you're not trying to fight, you won't be concerned about freedom, justice, or equality. And it's another thing too, brothers and sisters, we got too many hustlers. We got too many using this ministry as a hustle. We can't hustle it, brothers and sisters. This is no hustle, right? It's no hustle. Can't use it as a hustle, right? But this is the ministry. This is the truth, right? For us to put truth out to our brothers and sisters so that they'll be able to stand in this evil day where the devil is killing us, shooting us, dragging us openly, hanging us and everything, right? That's what the devil is doing to you and I. And the only way that we're going to get out of it is that we're willing to fight, brothers and sisters. And we got to stand, therefore, right, in the liberty that you and I have been made free. We got to stand in that liberty, right? We got to stand in that liberty, right? That you and I have been made free. We got to be steadfast. We got to be unmovable, always abounding in the work of God, which is found in our Lord, right? Who is God? We are God's, right? And we belong to God. You have to understand that. And collectively, we are God. We are the messianic promise. We are the messianic people that God himself is sent on this earth to be able to sanctify it, to put it as a place of righteousness, right? And you and I have to stand, brothers and sisters, to make sure that anybody that come on this earth will understand it as a place of righteousness, and that it'll be sanctified and used to purify brothers and sisters, right? The ones they'll raise up from a dead level to a live one, they'll know what God wants them to be. They'll know what God wants them to do, right? And their job will be right there in front of them, right? And our job is to reach one, each one, reach one, and teach one. That's what we have to do. And if all of us are reaching and teaching each one, right, to reach one, teach one, and reach one, then we'll know that we'll begin to mimic, right, a righteous people with a righteous goal, and it's to make sure that the black man is raised from a dead level to a live one. That we'll be able to do that. Right, brothers and sisters? That's what we'll be able to do. So, brothers and sisters, I appreciate the time. It wasn't going to be long, but I hope you have time for our sister to come in front of you, because I know that our sister has something to say, and I know that I'm ready to hear her and see what she has for us, brothers and sisters. And it's been so long since she's been with us, so I'm so glad that she's ready to come before us. And she's coming at a great time, because we still got a strong 22 minutes, right? Isn't that right? On the show where she can read this stuff to us. And I thank God for so much. Brothers and sisters, if you please, I bring my sister forth to us, and then I'll come back to close us out, right? Sister Goddess Nanu Joanna X. Brothers and sisters, if you please.
Greetings of peace, love, enlightenment. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. See you guys are talking about justice, ensuring justice for our people. Absolutely wonderful. I hope y'all are doing well. Excuse me, my throat's a little dry. All right, so I'm not gonna hold you all long. Just very quickly, I'm gonna um, remind you all to make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel, especially if we want to make sure that other people are getting the memo and getting the information that you are getting, being enlightened. Because guess what? When we know better, we're able to do better, and we're all better together. Okay? We're all better together. So we all need each other in order for us to do better. Absolutely. Now, I know he was talking about getting justice for our people, and that's very, very important. Very, very important. And a lot of times that means us speaking out, standing up and speaking our truth. All right. Making sure that we are not just standing around watching things go down, but we're sharing information. All right. And we are sharing knowledge and wisdom, and we're sharing our truth and speaking out. Okay. We got to stop coping. We got to stop coping. We got to stop coping. A lot of people suffer injustice, and they just say, "Oh, that was wrong what they did," and then they do absolutely nothing about it. So you want to make sure that you are holding people accountable for the things, mistreatment that you experience and others experience. Excuse me. We want to make sure we're holding people accountable for their actions towards us, for their words towards us, and we're speaking out and standing up for ourselves and for one another. And anytime you hear anybody talk about injustice that has occurred to them or anybody around them, you need to encourage that person to do what is necessary to hold those people accountable for their actions. All right. And that goes in our personal relationships as well. We need to start having a zero tolerance policy for disrespect and abuse. Okay, especially of our children and our Black mothers. Absolutely. Especially for our children and our Black mothers. Because if we don't uphold our Black mothers, if we don't uphold a Black woman and put the Black mothers back on the throne where they belong, then our community is not gonna get to where we need it to be. No nation rises higher than its woman, right? No nation rises higher than its woman. Absolutely. Because guess what? All the children are coming through the women. Okay. You have to understand that. That's just basic common sense. But I know some of us have been programmed by our enemy. And so a lot of us don't have the common sense that we need. And it's unfortunate, but it is the truth. It is the truth. And so our children come through us. Absolutely. So our thoughts are molding these babies. Absolutely. Their first teacher is their mother. Absolutely. Their first person building their psyche, helping them to build all of their little muscles and their little organs is mama, right? The first person that feeds them, if they're doing breastfeeding, is mama. Absolutely. Absolutely. If they're getting the best of the best, they're going to get it from mama. All right. And in order for our women to take their proper places, they have to understand what their place is. And they'll never understand what their place is if we don't lift them up, okay, and encourage them to take their rightful place. Absolutely. On the throne. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we can lead our people back to greatness. All right. We got to lead our people back to greatness. So I want y'all to make sure you're holding the gate wherever you are and standing up for truth, standing up for justice, making sure nobody's being disrespected, being abused, being mistreated, being assaulted in your presence. All right. Whether that's verbally, physically, however it may be. Okay, you hold the gate where you are. Make sure nothing passes where you are at. If you hear somebody talking about something, hear what I'm saying. If you hear somebody talking about something that they've experienced, it could be past tense, it doesn't matter. And you know that they are tolerating something that they should not tolerate, speak up for them. Okay, speak your truth. Don't hold back. Okay, we got to stop coping with injustice, going along to get along, hoping for some peace. Peace doesn't come that way. Change doesn't come that way. You're going to have to stand up. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to speak up for what you want and the change you want to see in your life. You got to speak up for your sisters and your brothers. You got to speak up, especially for those who cannot speak up for themselves. Especially for those who cannot speak up for themselves. Because what you allow could be what takes somebody out. What you allow, even in conversation, somebody talking, what you allow that person to believe when you know that what they're believing is wrong. When you allow them to do that, That could be what takes that person out. That could be what causes that person to have a mental breakdown. That could be what causes that person to commit suicide. Um, that could be what causes that person to continue to put their life in danger, when they don't understand. No, white people are your enemy. When they don't understand, it's not safe for you to go in the hospitals and give birth there because they are killing black women, killing black babies. When they don't understand these things and you're not speaking out, you're not addressing it. You're not addressing it when it's in front of you. Guess what? What you allow in front of you could be what takes somebody out. So I want all of you to make it it's your responsibility because you're there. It's your responsibility because you're there and you are accountable. Yes, you are your brother and your sister's keeper. Absolutely, you are. You are. Absolutely, you are. Because guess what? It's going to take all of us. You understand? It's going to take all of us, okay, to do better. I'm better when you all are doing better, okay? That's why we're sharing this information, because we understand that we cannot stand alone. We cannot stand alone. None of us can stand alone. It's going to take all of us working together. You understand? It's going to take all of us working together. Sure, I could just teach my children. That's easy. I could easily just teach my children and make sure they're the best of the best. But what is that going to matter if they don't have friends that can stand with them? What is that going to matter if they don't have anybody standing with them? If they don't have anybody fighting with them? What is that going to matter if they're going out into a society and everybody that should be on their team is fighting against them? Okay, we don't want that for our children. We're experiencing enough of that already. We got enough people selling us out and cooning right now. So we got to nip this stuff in the bud now, so our children don't have to deal with this nonsense on the level that we have to deal with it. Okay, so that they can have. Absolutely. That's what we're fighting for. If we're not fighting for the future, then we're wasting our time talking right now. If the future is not important to you, then we are all wasting our time, running our mouths, just shooting the breeze right now. Okay? Because if the children don't matter, then what's the point? What's the point? Because you're going to be dead and gone in a little bit anyway. So you sitting around talking about nothing, even though it may be important stuff to talk about. If it's not affecting our children, it's not creating any change for our children, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the only way you can affect all of the children is to hold the line, hold the gate, speak up, stand out, and make some difference and make some changes. All right. And speaking of the children, of course, we do have a virtual homeschool co-op. You are welcome to enroll. We'd be happy to have you, Black families. Absolutely. Black families, called Interdependent Black Families. Absolutely. Come on. It is free. All you have to do is teach a class. Yes, you can. You can teach a class. Absolutely, you can. If you don't understand what you are able to teach, don't feel like you're qualified, I can understand that. But guess what? You are qualified to teach something. And let's talk about it, okay? Don't be shy about it. Reach out to me. We'll talk about it. We'll find something that you can teach. All right? If that means I got to help you teach your class, or I will help you teach your class, okay? Because I don't believe in us leaving anybody behind. Because when one of you does better, then we're all doing better. When one of you does better, we're all doing better. And it's going to take all of us together. Take all of us together. No, I'm not playing about it. This is real. This is real. It's real over here. We don't play. We don't talk. We ain't just for the show trying to get some money or none of that nonsense. We're not about popularity and all of that. We're about our people, and we're about making a real difference. And if we're going to make a real difference, we got to get serious about several things. We got to get serious about the way that we treat our women. We got to get serious about the future that we're creating for our children and caring about our children. Absolutely. Because if the children don't matter, then we're wasting our time. We're just wasting our time, wasting our days right now. Absolutely. So I want to encourage all of you, absolutely, to love on each other so y'all can have some more Black babies. Love on each other, absolutely, so you can have some more Black babies. We ain't got to worry about abortion in half the country. So, hey, go ahead and have those babies and make sure you can provide for those babies. Absolutely, so we can combat this economic slavery that we are all going through right now. Even if you work for yourself, you are still oppressed. as a black person, because guess what? You're still not making the money you should be making. You're still not at the level you should be at or could be at, if not for this man trying to put his boot on your neck, Satan trying to steal what belongs to you, and has not given you your reparations when they wouldn't have nothing that they got if they didn't get it off our backs. Do you hear me? They owe us. They owe us. They owe us. They owe us. And I want what's mine. You should want what's yours. I am hiring right now for people to work from home. You will be working for yourself. Let me make that clear. If you are not somebody who can take initiative, this is not for you. If you are looking for an employer to stand behind you and give you instructions and boss you around and be your mind for you, this is not for you. But if you can take some initiative and be aggressive and do what you need to do for yourself and set your own schedule and make sure that you are accountable to yourself and everything that's required as a business owner for you to contract for yourself, then I am hiring, and I would love to hire you to take calls from me. Absolutely. I would love to hire you to take calls from me, especially if you are pro-Black, and especially if you are a mother or a parent. Absolutely. Because first and foremost, I care about our babies. I care about our future. Okay. So that is there for you, and that should allow a lot of people to be able to stay home and make sure that they're homeschooling if they have a work from home job. Okay. And I'm willing to do whatever I can do to help you to get started. I'm willing to do it. So I don't want to hear no excuses. I know people make a lot of excuses for themselves to stay in whatever situation they're in. You got to stop making excuses and stand up and do what you need to do for yourself, do what you need to do for your family, and do what you need to do for your community, so we can all be better. Because those of y'all who are not doing it, y'all holding us back and you holding me behind. So yeah, I'm getting in your behind because you holding me behind, and I'm tired of people holding me down. I'm tired of people holding me down. Okay, if the white man's in your mind and in your heart, you need to go ahead and evict him on out of it, because I'm telling you right now, you're people of power, and you can do whatever you decide you're going to do. You can do it, and we can do it together. Absolutely. I got on a little tangent, but anyway, so definitely if you want to work from home, you can email me your resume. Okay. And what I will do, email me your resume. You know what? I'm just going to give them the baby mighty LC@gmail.com. All right, email me your resume. I put it right there in the live chat. So if you're watching the recording, click live chat so you can see the chat, and you will see Dr. Mauricelm-Lei Millere. Drop that email address for you, babymightyllc@gmail.com. Go ahead and send me your resume. Don't send me no nonsense now, because I ain't going to call you for no interview. Send me a good resume. If you don't have a resume, Google resume templates. Create you a resume, okay? Create you a resume, all right, and send it to me. Like I said, if you can't be aggressive and take initiative and do what you need to do for yourself, then this it ain't gonna work out anyway. Because you're pretty much gonna be working for yourself. I'm not gonna be standing behind. I'm not holding nobody's hand. I will help with whatever you need help with to get you started. I will definitely do that. But this is not an employer type of situation. I'm a business owner, and I'm looking for people who want to work for themselves. All right, and do for self. Absolutely. All right, and also, we want to make sure that we're telling people that about the infant maternal mortality rates. I know some people, it's becoming more popular. People are more and more knowing about it somewhat, but nobody's really doing anything about it. Nobody's really sharing any information. But we as women have to be competent when we give birth. We cannot be, can no longer can we rely on other people for our well-being and our safety. Okay. If you are a man, please make sure that your woman is safe. Please make sure that she is competent in birth. Okay. There are too many people trying to dominate and control Black women. Too many people trying to dominate and control Black women. And we need to take responsibility for our own health. We need to take responsibility for our own births. Okay. And we need to take responsibility for our own body. Okay. Absolutely. I don't want to hear nobody crying about abortion. If you don't want to get pregnant, don't use your reproductive organs. Okay. Because that's what reproductive organs are for making babies. Okay. So if you make a baby, yeah, I said that. If you make a baby, okay, you need to know what to do to take care of yourself, to make sure you're healthy, okay, and to make sure that baby comes out safe and you are safe and in a safe environment, okay, where nobody's going to take your life or take your child's life and sell your baby's organs or your organs or your stem cells or whatever, okay. We want y'all to be safe. So I do have a class, a free birth class and a free birth book. Which you can purchase the book or enroll in the class. The class actually starts in about a week, a little over a week. The class starts, and you can find more information at thebirthguru.org. All right. If you have any questions, I am open. You can contact me directly. I have no problem with that. Hey. I'm open. I'm open to conversation. You can request a call or what have you from my website. All right. Let's see. Did I miss anything? For those of y'all who don't have children, if you do want to support the homeschool co-op, my children are selling candy bars. Minimum donation of $5 per candy bar. You can always donate towards their programs and devices and such that they need to enhance their homeschooling, not just for my children, but for all the children in the co-op. All the children in the co-op are able to sell these candy bars. All right. So come on and join us, and you go to that website, thebirthguru.org, and you can also get the candy bars there as well. Yeah. All right. And I told you about working from home. And let me think. I just want to make sure I'm not leaving out anything important that could be useful to anyone. Because I know we give out a lot of useful information. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Nope, told you about working from home. All right. And okay, if you want to learn more about me, my services, or my products, or want to request a call, you can do so at goddessnownnew.com. All right. And once you are done here watching this video, you are more than welcome to also visit my YouTube page. I do have music there, and you can just type Goddess Now New in the search bar and you will find me. All right. And it was such a pleasure speaking to y'all. I hope you all are doing well. I would like some feedback. How y'all doing? Type in the chat. Tell me how y'all doing. I want to know how y'all doing before I leave. I like to know how people are doing. Just hope everybody is well. Everybody's doing well. Everybody's feeling well. Okay. Everybody's feeling empowered. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sending peace. I'm sending love. I'm sending light. I'm sending blessings. All right. Black power.
Brothers and sisters, I'm so thankful. Our sister came here before us, gave us what she had. I'm so thankful. And I want to just continue to give her kudos and blessings, because that sister be on the move. She does the stuff. I don't stand her way either, brothers and sisters. I don't stand her way, and I'm happy every time she can come on to the show. I'm glad she has the time now to come on to the show, so you'll know about the other stuff that we're doing. And so that you'll know that we're living this. We're not just saying it, but we're living it. We're not just talking, but we're doing it every day. And we're thankful to you that the show has become what it is to build it up. So, brothers and sisters, I'm not going to hold you any longer. I appreciate you. I appreciate your patience. And you know what I am. You know where I'll be all the time. You know where I'll be all the time. And so, brothers and sisters, peace be unto you, young Fetty. Is the sisters YT goddess? It's Goddess Nanu, brother. Brother Yeti is Young Fetty. I'm sorry, brother Young Fetty is Goddess Nanu. Greetings, Sister D. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. I thought I was going to miss you. Glad to see you. Yes, I did, sister. Thank you very much. I sure did. I saw it, and I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna send you these little signs I saw. You're supposed to click on one of them to let you know that I did receive it. I'm gonna do that as soon as I get off here. I'm gonna do that, and I want to thank you for your contribution, and thank all of you all for your contributions. And those of you that haven't had a chance to do it, please take time out to do it. You can do it through Cash App, any small donation. We definitely appreciate it. And it's Liberation Group. I'm going to put that in there, right? That's the Cash App, Liberation Group. And you'll see a picture. You'll see a picture there of Minister Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz. And I definitely thank you all for everything that you do. We're so thankful for all of you all. I'm thankful for all of you all because you make the show what it is. And it's because of you that the show is successful. And all of you all are pillars of the show. So we ask you all to definitely come back. See you again tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Brothers and sisters, don't forget, if you're around somebody, tell them that you love them. Please let them know that you love them. Please let them know. Because nobody can hear the praises that you give them when they're dead. I certainly appreciate that, dear sister. Certainly appreciate that. And I want all of y'all to make sure you're here for us tomorrow. We're growing. We're getting it. We're getting to our mark. We're getting there. We're going to keep on pushing till we get there so we can get this word out to everyone. So, brothers and sisters, thank you very much. Don't forget to those of you that haven't gotten weapons, learn about weapons safety laws. Go to a black weapons instructor, or you could go to a National African American Gun Association, which is called NAGA, and you'll be able to get instructions on weapons there and also get guns. And we have to be ready, brothers and sisters. There's no sense in us building up anything. We can't build it up. We can't build it up if we don't learn how to protect it. We have to protect it. We got to protect it. We don't have a choice. So you and I, brothers and sisters, we are being called out. We're being called out to do the work of God, and we're called out to complete God's will. God has called you and I out to do that, and we can't do it unless our eyes are open, literally, to what God has for us and what God wants us to put out to our brothers and sisters. So we have to be serious in this walk, serious in this talk. This is not a game. But we're sending out peace, blessings, and righteousness to brothers and sisters that are looking for it, brothers and sisters that need it, because we're on the battlefield for our Lord. Anybody ever heard that? Well, I'm on a battlefield for my Lord. That's what you and I are. We're on a battlefield for our Lord, brothers and sisters. We're on a battlefield for our Lord, right? Our God, right? Because we know that the devil is in charge right now, right? But he's not really in charge, but he's having his way right now. But eventually, right, the Black Messiah rises, and every day we get stronger and stronger. I wish you could see it the way I do, brothers and sisters. All we got to do is keep standing. All we got to do is keep teaching God's truth. All we got to do is keep on teaching the word of God. And God's word says, stand therefore in the liberty, brothers and sisters, that you and I have been made free. And you and I have to stand, therefore, in the liberty that we've been made free. And we have to know it, brothers and sisters. There's something in our life that we have to know. Huh? This is something in our life that we have to know, that our freedom, our justice, our equality was already granted to us by God. Right? On the day that you and I were born, even though we were born in this land of slavery, even though we were born in this Babylon, that God created us to be free. Isn't that right? And that you and I were free people in our land, in our country. You and I were free. We were free people. Isn't that right? We were God's people, and he was our God over in Africa. And God gave us commandments, right, to make sure that you and I will continue to be free. But brothers and sisters, something happened, right? We got a visitor one day, some strange man, a kind of man, not an actual man, but a kind of man that kept us in bondage, a man that put us in oppression, a man that put us in slavery. Isn't that right? We invited him to eat at our table of brotherhood, and he put us in slavery and bondage. Isn't that right? And so God is telling us, he's telling us that man's time is over. I read to you from the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter, the 14th through the 16th verse, and then all the way to the 21st verse. And then one day I read to you the 14th chapter of Isaiah, the 1st through the 21st, and the 20 all the way to the 23rd verse. But it tells us, right, that the devil said that his throne will be higher than God's throne, one day will be destroyed. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? And so I look forward to that day when this devil is going to be destroyed. That when God is going to come and deliver us from this bondage that you and I are in. That's right, brothers and sisters. When I look at us and I look at the timeline of how the black man was brought here. Isn't that right? How the black man was captivated and brought in his land, right? Brought from his land, imprisoned in his land. Isn't that right? By his own brothers. The story of Joseph was laid out. The story of Joseph was given to us. The story of Joseph was laid out in front of us so that you and I would know, right? So that we didn't know who the enemy was. So that we didn't know our sins against one another. Isn't that right? How we were sold in bondage by our brothers, right? Africans doing the evil work of a Satan. Isn't that right? The evil work of devils that were coming in out of the caves right into our land. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? But an awesome God came that day. Oh my God. God came. Isn't that right? Touched us, right? Opened our eyes, right? Healed us, raised us up if we were dead, from a dead level to a live one, to let us know to stand in the liberty that I made you free. That's right. That's right, brothers and sisters. And the day is coming that we'll be free. The day is coming that we'll be free, you and I. You and I. And on that day that we stand up in this freedom, brothers and sisters, on the day that we grab the plan of God, the day that we grab the blueprint that God gave the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the day that we grab it, brothers and sisters, we'll begin to see our way to our freedom. And that freedom is not some freedom that the white man is going to give us, brothers and sisters, but it's the kind of freedom that we have to earn. We have to earn it, brothers and sisters, and we have to learn it, because we know that freedom comes from God. So, brothers and sisters, I won't hold you any longer. I appreciate you for all the things that you've done and what you will do. Don't forget to support us through the Cash App if you can. We don't care if it's 50 cents to $5 or whatever it may be. We thank you for whatever you do. Don't forget we have books, brothers and sisters. We have books for sale. That you can get these books. These books that will tell you the very knowledge that we're putting out. And also, you can also order a message to the black man, right? Because every brother and sister should have that book. Whether you're a Christian or whether you're a Muslim, you should have that book, because the message is to the black man, right? And so we've got books that you can also get to learn about your history all the way from 10 million years to 7 million years, all the way to our present day, so that you'll know who the devil is and who you've been fighting. I know why we were warned against this high coast, why we were warned against the Moabite, why we were warned against these people that have put us in bondage. That's right. That's right, brothers and sisters. And as you can see, the day comes more and more every day where God is showing us that we're going to be free. You and I are going to be free. So, brothers and sisters, I salute you. I salute you this day. I salute you, brothers and sisters. And I tell you to be encouraged. Tell somebody that you love them and build up the black nation. May God continue to bless you and continue to teach you in this last day and time, where we'll be raised up from a dead level to a live one as the messianic race of the most holy and righteous God. I say unto you, peace be unto you in the beginning and peace be unto you in the end. Assalamu alaikum.